Hello crafty friends, this is the Papered Chef here. One question I get asked a lot by my online students and by my YouTube viewers is, can you take a die and scan it in and do something to it, like manipulate it? Okay, the last person to ask that was Deborah. She asked, I really love the teapot from Stampin' Up, but I want to enlarge it. Can you show me that please if it can be done? Well, of course it can be done. Here's the teapot from Stampin' Up that Deborah was talking about. It's a free framelit set that you get when you spend $100 during our Sale-A-Bration, which is more than halfway over, so please do check that out. Now, I didn't have the teapot set, so that was the first problem, and when I spent $100, I chose to get this lasting lily, which is also awesome. But my friend Courtney luckily said, this is great for Mother's Day. I want the teapot sets or tea time framelits. So she got it and happened to be so nice to lend it to me. So thank you, Courtney. And I'm going to open it up and we're going to start from the very beginning so you understand every concept. I want to start from just taking this die out of the package. This is the way it comes. Later I do store these on magnetic sheets. We're going to take this teapot. We are going to cut it out right now. There's the side that you cut on, okay? Here's my Big Shot. This is the Stampin' Up Big Shot. Okay, you put the Big Shot platform in. This is the sandwich. The next part is you put in so that's the platform that comes with the Big Shot. Then you put in the thin die adapter because this is a thin die. So you put in the adapter. Then you put in the bottom plate, which mine gets a lot of wear and tear. And then you put in a piece of cardstock. So we're going to cut this on black. Then you put the die face down onto the cardstock. And then I'm going to put the cover. So let me pull this out a little. So I put the cover over it. Okay, then I just crank it. I usually crank it with my right hand, but right now, just because of the view you have, I'm cranking it with my left hand. All right, so there's the die. Okay, I hope you understand this first part. I'm sure you have something similar in your craft stash. So let's put that on a white background. That's the next step. Okay, let's put that on so you can see it. So we've just cut out this, tea time framelit, okay? Now I have to poke this little piece out, give this back to Courtney without messing it up at all, because she was nice enough to loan that to me. All right, so I'm just putting this back in its case, and there we go. I'm going to close that up, and then I'm putting it back in its envelope. So, yay, Courtney. Okay, now we have a piece of Whisper White cardstock. This is very important because my mat is just not sticky. I mean, and not only is my mat not sticky, so this will kind of slip around on my mat, but the other thing is my mat's dirty, okay? So I'm just putting a little piece of adhesive. I'm just putting a little bit of adhesive behind there. So sticking it to the Whisper White. You'll see how dirty my mat is, and then you'll go, oh, I understand. So I don't want it to recognize all this dirt on the mat. I just want it to recognize just the teapot. So now I put down the Whisper White with the die. I give it a rub, and my mat, it should be okay with this. It should be okay. Hope it doesn't slip. If it does, we do my painter's tape trick. All right, now we're ready for the scan and cut portion of this. Turn my camera a little bit, pull my scan and cut. Okay, we're gonna open up the scan and cut, load the mat. Okay. So, I'm really gonna have to turn the camera this time. All right, there we go. We're pretty good, doing pretty good. So we load the mat. I put one hand on my mat and I load. Okay, it's loaded. Now, I'm gonna say scan. So scan. Most of the time we just use direct cut because we directly cut out the images. However, this is important. We don't want to cut it out, we want to save it for a few reasons. We want to enlarge it because it's a teapot. We want to make it big so you don't be singing, I'm a little teapot. It's going to be a big teapot. And also because we want to cut out the middle of the handle. So to do both of those things, to accomplish both of those objectives, we now need to use scan to cut data. Okay, that's what we need to use. Black and white recognition mode is fine. Only in scan to cut data are you able to cut out the inside and outside of images. Meaning, I want the hole to go through the teapot. Okay, you're going to see it get recognized, and you'll get to see how dirty my mat is when on the part where I didn't put the Whisper White cardstock. Scan to cut data takes a little longer than just direct cut. Okay, so there's the teapot. You have a few choices here. This first choice is just selecting the outside of the teapot like we would, you know, if this were a stamped image. The second one is cutting the inside and outside lines. And the third is lines only. We want the inside and outside. We want the second option. Okay, so now we're gonna just see how dirty the mat is. We wanna just zoom into the teapot itself and not all this extra dirt around there. All right, so there it is, preview. Looks good. I'm going to save it. Where am I saving it? To my machine. Okay, I'll just save it to the machine. You could also save it to the cloud, meaning to your account. Okay, so it's in the machine's memory. It's item 106. Okay, this is important. We're going to go home, and you're going to go, delete all patterns. Oh, no. Yes, we have to delete all patterns. We're going home. Okay, we're going back to the home screen. You have an image saved in here. We're done with this, by the way. We're done with this. We don't need this right now. Okay, we want to go into pattern, and you want to go into saved data. Save data. You are getting data from your machine because that's where we just saved it to, remember? All right, then we're going to go down to the last page. We could scroll. I'm going to select that teapot. We could scroll all the way through the pages, but you could also go backwards, which is a little quicker. So there's a teapot. So let's say OK. And let's say OK again. Now, we can just cut it like it is. And I want to do that first, just because I just want to teach this overall concept. So here's a piece of paper. It's called Painted Seasons. It's one of the free papers you can get, along with the free stamp set when you spend $100 during Sale-A-Bration. That's something I didn't even show you in the brochure. It's a new item that was recently added. So let's just go ahead and cut. We're going to cut out the teapot. And we're going to use 3. Designer Series paper, blade depth of 3. And I just put the paper right on the mat. Okay, so here's what it's doing. It's just cutting out the teapot. I just put a piece of paper in the middle of the mat. So, pretty cool, right? Let me show you what I mean by pretty cool. Look at that. Watch this. Voila, magic. Because without doing any manipulation, let's put that on a background. This is more Painted Seasons. Be sure to get your free stuff before you run out of time. Okay, look. How cool is that? Without doing anything else. All right, in other words, that's the size of the teapot. But why would we have done all that work if we would have just used we should have just used our Big Shot if we were just going to do that, right? Papered Chef? Yes, you're right. Absolutely. If we were just going to cut it out. In fact, using the dies is better when you just want the same size image. The dies are much more detailed, you know, than trying to do all this business. Okay, so we're going to, let's go back for a second, and we're going to go into editing mode. And you see that the handle, the inside hole, is not grouped with the teapot. So if I try to enlarge the teapot right now, the handle won't get enlarged, or if I try to enlarge the handle, the teapot won't get enlarged. We need to group these two objects together so that when we enlarge the teapot, then they stay together and they get enlarged together. To group objects in the Scan and Cut, you have to go to this, select them first, and I'm just going to select them all, which is this one here, or select an area, I mean. And then I'm going to just select that area and see how they're grouped. I mean, they're grouped, but I didn't actually tell it to group yet, but they're selected. They're selected, I should say. Now, this is the group button right here. The 2 little shapes with the little red line around it. Hit that and they're grouped. Now watch, see? I can move it around with my fat finger because my stylus is missing. Okay, I can move it all around and it's grouped together. But wait, there's more. Let's enlarge it. Let's go, okay, here to the resize. And let's just make it a giant teapot. I'm giving this to Courtney. This giant teapot. I know I can at least go 11. See, if it doesn't let me go 11 and I know I can, I just go. Move it back to the center. Oh, that's what it was. It was 11 width, not height, I think. Width, yeah. Yeah, that's good. Now, if you're trying to resize something and it's not resizing anymore, move it back to the center and you'll get a little bit better. You'll get to go to the maximum resize. But I think about 11 width is good for me, because I never want anything to get cut off in the edges of my paper. There we go. We have a giant teapot now. Let's say okay. I've already used up a whole pack of Painted Seasons paper. So let's open up another pack of Painted Seasons paper. And I like the flowers. I'm going to do a big, I've already done one like this to show you. So let's do a big floral teapot. It has 4 seasons. It has 3 sheets of each. Is it 3? Double-sided. 1, 2, 3. Super cool. Okay, every season. So check out that free paper on my website. Okay, let's say okay. Let's say okay. Let's cut. And I already put the paper on. You don't need to see me do that again. Okay, I put the paper on the designer series paper on the mat already. I didn't even have to unload the mat because I just stuck the paper right on it, and I'm rubbing with my hands to make sure it doesn't slip, because I don't want to cut this teapot and it slip. I immediately thought of something when I make this big teapot. I'll tell you, because the machine's so noisy. I can tell you now that the machine stopped making so much noise. Let me just finish off this part. Unload and say, okay, now. I immediately thought of something when I was cutting these out big. I was like, how cool are these teapots, these really big teapots, right? That was what I was thinking. But I also thought, okay, Mother's Day's coming up, and you could have students write down, or actually you could do these on like plain light colored cardstock, right? And you could have students write down all the things they love about their mom on the teapot. Wouldn't that be cool on Mom's refrigerator? In fact, why do we have to let students do it? Let's do it ourselves. Let's thank our moms. My mom's awesome. I could fill this up with things that she loves, but I might make it a little bit smaller, like 8.5 by 11, because of like how I think it will look a little better. So there you go. So I cut this one out earlier as a demonstration. So here's a giant teapot using this is the Painted Seasons Designer Series paper by Stampin' Up. It's a free item. You can only get it by ordering. And there's the one I just cut. So thank you, Deborah, for asking the question. Thank you, Courtney, for lending me your framelits. And thank you to all my viewers for checking out this somewhat advanced tutorial on the Brother ScanNCut that I will be adding to my courses as well. Thank you for watching. This is the Papered Chef.